Thank you, Chairman Tonko. Today, as you mentioned, we're discussing EPA's Brownfields program, and that has been extremely successful for the last 20 years at revitalizing contaminated properties all around the nation in order to protect public health and restore economic prosperity to local communities. In 2002, I was the ranking member on the subcommittee, and I worked with then Subcommittee Chairman Paul Gilmore from Ohio to co-author the Brownfields law. And since that time, the Brownfields program has been a critical lifeline for local governments and communities looking to turn contaminated sites into economic centers. With financial help from the federal government in the form of grants and loans, communities can clean up contaminated sites, and many of them were long abandoned, and then turn them into parks, public building, or new businesses. As just one example, in my district, the Middlesex County Improvement Authority was able to turn a 6-acre former scrap metal facility on the Raritan River in Perth Amboy into a community park. And the Brownfields program is a resounding success story on so many levels. Since the program's inception, 34,000 sites have been revitalized nationwide, opening up 144,000 acres for development. Cleaning up brownfields raises neighborhood property values, decreases toxic exposure, and creates an opportunity for community-led development. It is also a fantastic investment in our communities. For every dollar granted, there is a return of $20.13. And recent studies show that brownfields cleanups bring an estimated 29 to $97 million in additional tax revenue to local governments in a single year after cleanup. So I'm proud that the bipartisan infrastructure law that Congress passed and the president signed last year will inject an additional 1.5 billion of new funding into the brownfields program. This money will go to state and local governments as well as community nonprofits to clean up blighted unused sites and turn them into economic drivers for the community. It will allow communities that could not meet cost sharing requirements to gain access to grants. And this will revolutionize the grant process and make it dramatically easier for communities, especially low income and underserved communities, to get the funding they need. The bipartisan infrastructure law also increases grant amounts that will allow for tougher, more complicated brownfield sites to finally get the funding they need to complete the cleanups. Now, the bipartisan infrastructure law is not only a critical investment in the nation's infrastructure, but also essential to eliminating legacy toxic exposure in environmental justice communities. The bill passed 3 years after this committee came together in a strong bipartisan fashion to reauthorize and update the Brownfields program. That's what Paul and Mr. McKinley were talking about with the Build Act of 2018. And that legislation increased grant amounts, created multi-purpose grants for flexibility, and opened up funding for nonprofits. Now, I look forward to hearing from the local leaders and stakeholders about how the bipartisan infrastructure law and the 2018 program updates are working, and how the increased funding and flexibility will benefit their future cleanup projects. The 2018 reauthorization that Chairman Taco and the Ranking Member McKinley talked about, that expires at the end of this year. And that's why today's hearing is so important as we look to once again reauthorize this program. I also want to thank Mayor Bull, which is one of the people that's going to be testifying. He's the mayor of Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's not in my district; it's just north. But he has testified before this committee many times in support of the Brownfields program, including back in 2018 at the time of the reauthorization. And he represents the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the National League of Cities, which he's been involved with for a long time. So welcome back, Mayor Baldwin. Uh, and again, I'm hopeful that today's hearing puts us on a bipartisan path to reauthorize the Brownfields program this year before it expires. Well, with that, thank everyone. Thank you, Paul, and I yield back.